What's up, guys? Welcome back to FishOfHex. Today we're going to be working on the 30-gallon chaeto reactor Triton test build, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how I installed the Neptune Apex system via the EB8 bar and a PM1 module. Now I will also be adding a brand new pH probe, a temperature probe, and a 30-foot Aquabus cable so I can go ahead and run that around to the main hub on the frag system. So let's go to get into it. So you guys might have noticed that the EB8 bar has a little bit of rust on it. Well, if you guys have been following along for a while, you knew that I had the Zeobit system there in the fish room / closet, and it actually overflowed because one of my big turbo snails sat in the drain line, causing it to clog up and spilled water over the rim of the tank. Long story short, basically this PM1 module and this EB8 bar got wet during that whole process, and what I did, instead of throwing them out, I just let them dry out over the last, I don't know, almost a year, and I just plugged them in a couple weeks ago. Everything worked. I checked all the outlets with various pieces of equipment, checked some programming, and everything worked out fine, so I figured I'd go ahead and use it on the 30-gallon since I already purchased a brand new EB8 and PM1 module for the 300. All right, moving on to the installation. Now, as you guys can see here, the EB8 bar is pretty much up as high as it possibly can go there, and I left a little bit of room for that PM1 module. Now, the whole point of this was to get the electronics away from the water if possible. Basically, I have that single GFO and carbon reactor, which I do maintenance on once a month, as well as I'm going to have an ATO reservoir on the bottom on the same side. Now, the last thing you want to have is that EB8 bar or the PM1 module being too close to any of that water. I don't want to run into any more issues with that kind of stuff. But it is a tight fit, and I know that I could probably find a better spot outside the tank stand or maybe behind the tank stand to put that stuff in. But there's a less chance, say for whatever reason the tank was to ever overflow again. I don't see that happening because it is an all-in-one, but say the ATO takes a shit and it starts overflowing. Well, if the EB8 bar is on the outside of the tank stand and overflows, there's a good chance that the water will flow down onto that EB8 bar. But if it's underneath the tank stand, there's really no way of it getting wet unless something happens with that single reactor, springs a leak, or the ATO reservoir, something goes wrong with that. But other than that, guys, it worked out pretty good, and I'm happy with it so far. So you guys probably noticed that the temperature and pH probe are located on the first chamber on the left-hand side. Now I do this because the water is actually entering that chamber first from the main display, and it allows me to get an immediate reading and an accurate reading before it goes through any kind of media or baffles or anything like that, and it's not impacted by the heater, which is actually on the opposite side in the back chamber there. And I just do this to get consistent readings. The last thing you want to do is put a probe next to a heater section. Might get end up getting heat coming through to the probe, causing your tank to be a different temperature, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Let's go ahead and move on to the quick programming for the temperature and pH. Now I will link in-depth videos that I've made on the channel previously for those two things, but I'll walk through it real quick with you just for the sake of this video. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is temperature. Now, I like to use this TDS meter. It has temperature and TDS. It is in Celsius, so you just got to go ahead and do the conversion. But basically what you do is go ahead and hold it in the water until the temperature stops moving, and then go ahead and do your conversion if you have to. Come here to the apex, hit the middle button, come down to setup, scroll down to temperature setup, hit the middle button one more time, and then go ahead and hit there, calibrate, and then you can go ahead and put in the proper temperature. I do recommend that you get other probes and temperature probes to go ahead and test to make sure that there is an average. It really depends on what you want to do. If you're off a degree or so, it's not a big deal. But if you are staying up around the 75, maybe 80 range, some people like to have the tanks a little bit higher. If you're off 1 or 2 degrees colder than what the tank actually is, you could run into a little bit of issues. So just keep an eye on that. All right, moving over to the pH probe. This is a little bit more complicated, but it really isn't that bad. You're going to get yourself some 7 and 10 Milwaukee pH calibration fluid. I pick it up from brs.com. And then you're going to go ahead and come in here to the controller. One quick tip, make sure you get yourself a cup of water. It can be either RODI water or salt water from the tank. You're going to want to rinse off the probe between using the solutions, just so you don't cross-contaminate them and get some weird readings. Either way, you're going to come down here, go to the calibration setting for the pH within the apex there. Pretty much the same thing for the temperature, same process. You're just going to go to pH instead. Then you're going to go ahead and select your probe if you have multiple probes, and then select the 7 solution. At that point, you're going to go ahead and put your probe in the 7 solution. You're going to shake it around a little bit to get any bubbles out, and then just hold it until the settling number stops moving. I usually hold it there once the number stops for at least another minute or 2 before actually hitting OK. Now once that's done, you're going to do that again, rinse your probe off before you go into the 10 calibration solution, and then just repeat that process. Now once you have both of them done, or at least settled to the correct number, go ahead and put the probe in the solution, either 7 or 10, and then check the reading on the apex. You can do it through the dashboard or Fusion or here on this controller, just to see what you get. So if, for example, you go ahead and you calibrate it and you go ahead and put the probe into the 7 solution again, and it reads 6.2, that's probably not a good thing. You're going to want to recalibrate that with that 7 solution, and vice versa. If it reads like 8 something, then again, you didn't calibrate it correctly. So just a quick tip on that. Either way, guys, that's it for programming it. So let's go ahead and get over to Apex Fusion. I'll show you guys kind of how everything looks. All right, let's go ahead and hop in here real quick, and I'll show you how I have everything organized. Now, don't worry about these 2 tanks. That is the frag system as well as the 300 gallon. We're more or less focused here on the right-hand side for the 30 gallon. Now, of course, once you plug that EB8 bar in with that PM1 module, you're going to have to pull down these graphs, which will be up here in this little section here. This will be glowing new tiles. Just go ahead and pull them down to wherever you want. And then, of course, your numbers will show up. And, yeah, so I went ahead and also pulled down all of the corresponding switches, or better yet, outlets for that EB8 bar. And as you can see, I definitely have some stuff connected here that you guys haven't seen yet. We'll still do the video on the micro ATO as well as the MP10 and the skimmer. So those videos will come out soon. I'll try to maybe cram them all together and get them in one video for you guys. But either way, out of all those outlets, I have only one open, and I don't really have any plans for anything for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. It's really easy to programming. If you guys want to learn how to program outlets, I do have some videos in the Apex playlist here on my channel. If you guys want me to get into that kind of stuff again, let me know. I have no problem making those videos. I did have some complaints early on that they were boring and just kind of tedious stuff, and people didn't want to watch it. And also the review or the view time on those videos wasn't very good, so I just kind of avoid making them at this point. But either way, guys, it's pretty good. I love having all 3 of my tanks connected to the Apex. It makes life really easy. And you guys might notice that I do have some pumps off here on my frag system as well as my 300. Basically, when I record, I have to turn off certain pieces of equipment because it's too loud. The mic picks up everything, and it's just a big pain in the ass. But either way, guys, if you like this video, let me know. And the next one, we'll be talking about the new skimmer as well as the MP10. And I got some Marine Pure stuff that's going in there, and I'll give you guys another update on the system. Either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.